Welcome to The Explainer. Today we're diving into a story that just redefines courage. We're talking about Al-Baraa ibn Malik al-Ansari, may Allah be pleased with him, and his life is an incredible testament to sacrifice. So get this. This warning comes from none other than Umar ibn al-Khattab, may Allah be pleased with him, and he's talking about the very man we're discussing today. I mean, what kind of warrior is so daring that his own leaders are afraid to put him in charge? It's this incredible mix of ultimate confidence and, well, genuine fear for his own men.
So let's unpack this. To really get this paradox, we have to look at the man himself. You see, Al-Baraa ibn Malik, may Allah be pleased with him, wasn't your typical legendary champion, not by a long shot.
And here's where it gets really interesting. This is the paradox of Al-Baraa. By all accounts, he looked frail. He was thin, wiry, kind of unkempt, so much so that it was almost hard to look at him. But then, you put him on a battlefield, he was a completely different person, an absolute unstoppable force who could take down countless opponents all by himself.
So you have this unlikely warrior, right? And his spirit was about to be tested like never before. His defining moments, and really a defining moment for the whole Muslim community, came during one of the most dangerous times in early Islamic history. We're talking about the Ridda Wars.
Okay, so after the death of the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, a huge crisis erupted. A massive wave of apostasy just swept across Arabia. You had all these tribes that had recently accepted Islam suddenly turning their backs on it. It threatened to undo, well, everything. And at the heart of this was the most dangerous rebellion of all, led by a man they called Musaylama the Impostor. This guy actually claimed to be a prophet himself, and he got the very powerful Banu Hanifa tribe to follow him.
Now, we're not talking about a small group here. Musaylama pulled together a massive army, 40,000 of his tribe's best fighters. This was a direct existential threat to the brand new Muslim state in Medina. The stakes were incredibly high.
So how did the Muslims respond? Well, the Caliph, Abu Bakr, may Allah be pleased with him, did not back down. He mobilized the army and sent them out under the command of a legendary general, Khalid ibn al-Walid, may Allah be pleased with him. And the battle that followed, the Battle of Yamamah, this is where we see Al-Baraa's most famous, most incredible act of heroism.
So the two armies meet at this place, Yamamah. In the beginning, it was a complete disaster for the Muslims. Musaylama's army was so powerful that the Muslim lines just shattered, and they were forced to retreat. It looked like it was all over.
You have to understand, the stakes could not have been higher. For every single Muslim on that field, this wasn't just another battle. This was it. This was for the very survival of Islam in Arabia. Lose here, and that could be the end.
But in these moments of total crisis, that's when heroes are made. You had Zayd ibn al-Khattab, Umar's own brother, may Allah be pleased with them both, who made this incredible oath and just charged right into the enemy, fighting until he achieved the martyrdom he was looking for.
And it wasn't just him. You had Salim, the man carrying the standard. When his own men worried he might falter, he gave this defiant response and plunged into the fight, refusing to give an inch until he also fell as a martyr.
Seeing this unbelievable courage, it lit a fire under the Muslim army. They rallied, they launched this ferocious counterattack and started pushing Musaylama's forces back. Eventually, the enemy retreated into this huge walled garden, like a fortress, and slammed the gate shut.
And now, we're at a stalemate. The Muslims are outside, arrows are raining down from the walls. What do? Well, this is the moment Al-Baraa ibn Malik steps up with a plan that is, honestly, it's one of the most insane things you'll ever hear in military history. He basically says, hey guys, use me as a human catapult.
And they actually did it. They put him on a shield, hoisted him up on their spears, and literally hurled the thin, wiry Al-Baraa over this high wall. He lands completely alone, surrounded by a sea of enemy soldiers. The sources say he came down on them like a thunderbolt, just fighting his way to the gate. He gets wounded again and again, but he makes it, and he opens that gate.
So, the gate is open. The Muslims just pour into what from that day on was called the Garden of Death. The battle turns, Musaylama is defeated, and Islam in Arabia is saved. But what about Al-Baraa, the man who made it all happen? Well, his personal quest for martyrdom, that wasn't over yet.
I mean, he was so badly wounded that Khalid ibn al-Walid himself looked after him for an entire month until he finally recovered. His sacrifice won the day, but even after that, he kept fighting in battle after battle, always praying for that highest honor.
And that moment finally came, years later.
The scene shifts to the conquest of Persia, during the really tough siege of a fortress called Tustar.
The Persians here were using this absolutely terrifying weapon. They'd lower these long chains from the walls with red-hot, glowing iron hooks on the end, and they would literally snag Muslim soldiers and drag them up to their deaths.
And then, one of those hooks gets his own brother, Anas ibn Malik. And Al-Baraa, he doesn't even hesitate for a second. He scrambles up the wall, grabs the burning, red-hot chain with his bare hands, and starts trying to free his brother. You can just imagine, the flesh literally melting from his hands, but he refuses to let go until Anas is safe.
And it was right there, in that battle, that Al-Baraa ibn Malik, may Allah be pleased with him, finally received what he had prayed for his entire life, martyrdom.
So when you look at a life like that, this incredible story of courage and sacrifice, you have to ask, where does that kind of strength come from? To really get Al-Baraa's legacy, you have to understand what was driving him.
His legacy is just this powerful reminder that real strength, it has nothing to do with how you look or how big you are. It's about the force of an unbreakable spirit. His courage came from this absolute conviction, this willingness to give up everything for something bigger than himself. It was all about his unwavering trust in Allah.
And that really leaves us with something to think about, doesn't it? What happens when a person has that kind of complete, unwavering trust in God? How does that kind of faith just completely rewrite the rules of what we think is humanly possible?